You know, sadly I don't really have anything really funny to say when it comes to common ships. Now, okay, Furutaka, Kako, and Foxhound have their own things, well, because of, you know. However, thanks to Crosswave, Aoba has something that still makes me laugh. She manages to nail her English on this one. For those of you who don't know, this is the one thing I will always remember her for.
その選択後悔はするなよ。オッケー。いや、オッケー。いや、オッケー。オッケー。やめやめ。オッケー。
Alright, next on the spotlight is the common cruiser from the Sakura Empire, IJN Aoba. This little reporter is always in the shadows looking for the best scoop for her paper. However, this time she's up in the spotlight to see if she could stand out among the many cruisers in the game. Now, with her being a common, I don't believe it would do her any justice to compare her to any elite or SR rarity cruisers. However, we'll go ahead and work with our two other commons we've already discussed, Furutaka and Kako. Both Furutaka and Kako aren't bad cruisers overall, so let's see if Aoba can keep up with them. Now, starting off on the survival side of things, Aoba does have a small advantage when it comes to health, sitting at about a nice 3.1k health pool. The difference isn't much of a game changer between them, but if it does come down to it, she will definitely be a bit tankier than them. Now, the medium armor will allow them to do okay against most gunfire, but do keep in mind that battleships will not be nice to them, as well as heavy cruisers with AP guns. Warspite, don't get any ideas. Aoba also has the advantage in evasion, but even then it's such a minimal difference that it won't amount to much in the grand scheme of things. Her anti-air stat also faces the same scenario. She does beat both of them, but the difference is not by much. However, it is important to note that she is a Sakura Empire ship, so overall she's on the lower end of things with anti-air and will take more damage from air-based attacks due to this disadvantage compared to several of her other cruiser counterparts from other factions. Now, in terms of offense, they all actually tie in terms of firepower, torpedo, and reload. This basically just means that their DPS will be roughly the same. Now, do keep in mind that these girls are all common rarity, so in most cases, they'll be more than likely to be losing to most cruisers that are elites or SRs. That said, they actually do compete against a handful of rares, so it's not like they are completely outclassed by higher rarities. Nonetheless, let's see her equipment setups and how that can help as well. In terms of Aoba's main gun efficiency, she sits at a good overall 130%. This efficiency does beat most cruisers of her rarity, and ties a few of them in the higher rarities. She'll be able to enjoy a slightly better gun damage output than Furutaka and Kako because of this efficiency as well. Now, she does trade this out with a slight 5% reduction to her torpedo efficiency against Furutaka and Kako. Now, for heavy cruisers with torpedoes, they don't do a lot of damage with torpedoes due to the overall torpedo stat being really low. Nonetheless, the lower efficiency here will lead to her outputting even less damage with her torpedoes. Thankfully, her gun should make up the damage on that end. Now, with her also being a torpedo cruiser, she loses on the additional main gun mount and trades that for a preloaded torpedo, which will pretty much reduce the overall damage output that she will do in a mission. Lastly, her anti-air gun efficiency seems to be roughly around average overall, and does mirror Furutaka and Kako's as well. Unfortunately, due to their low anti-air stat, it might not amount to much overall. So right off the bat, Aoba doesn't really stand out much differently from Furutaka and Kako in terms of stat line and equipment setup. If there's one thing, it really just has to be due to the decent difference in luck that she has versus those two. Luck does influence a few aspects of combat, so it will benefit her a lot more in this regard. For common ships, their stats don't seem too terrible, and when we even look at Aoba at level 120, we can see that she does get some pretty good boosts in 3 areas. Her firepower does get a good bump to it and will benefit from having a good main gun efficiency. The decent bumps to her health and the doubled evasion will make a good difference in survival for her in the battlefield. However, we need to see what skills she possesses and if that also changes anything for her as well. Now, Aoba does have one skill, full firepower, which gives her up to a 60% chance to increase her own firepower by up to 40% for 10 seconds. This skill attempts to activate every 20 seconds in combat and does carry a decent proc chance overall. Any boost to firepower is never really a bad thing, so this skill isn't exactly terrible for her. This actually does complement her overall gun setup given her solid gun efficiency. However, this is a skill that is relatively common among the common rarity cruisers, so it's again nothing that will help her stand out that much. Both Furutaka and Kako also have this skill, so there won't be a major difference in DPS from any of them. Unfortunately, if there's one thing that she does have consistent, it's that she is really got nothing that stands out against everyone else. Sadly, there's also more to it if you consider the fact that Furutaka and Kako both have retrofits that actually end up allowing both of them to surpass her overall. However, this is the life of a common rarity ship. Most commons don't really get to see much time in the spotlight. Some of them manage to break out of this by getting a retrofit which does improve their usability, but many to this day struggle to find their glory in the battlefield. Now, I guess the big question at this point is she a mob or boss fleet Vanguard member? I would probably say either is fine, but I'm also the type that generally doesn't like to send heavy cruisers into boss fleets. If I did, I probably won't be using her, since there are tankier cruisers that I do have at my disposal. Now with mob fleets, she's okay to use there, but will again be outclassed by higher rarity cruisers as well. At this point, it really depends on who you have to work with. Just make sure that if you do use her, you have some kind of way to account for the AA issues that the Sakura Empire have in some way, shape, or form. Now, of course, there's a good number of options. Sandy, you're a really good ship, but it's time to share the spotlight a little. You're almost level 120. Let me introduce you to a new friend of ours. Alright, anyway. Now, I'm not saying that you can't use her at all. If you're a new player, it's fine to be working with her, especially since you don't have many other ships to work with for now. Just know that a lot of other heavy cruisers will surpass her as time goes on. Another reason why it's okay to look into using her is because she's a common, and that does give her an overall lower oil cost. As a common, really she's not that bad to use. However, Furutaka and Kako will both pass her up, especially once fully retrofitted. Now, if you don't have both of them, or can't retrofit them, then Aoba can definitely be a good replacement until then. Otherwise, it's probably a good thing she's stuck around to being a reporter, and asking about our I can't explain. And that will be all for Aoba. Hope you enjoyed this and that it will help you in your future endeavors. Up next will be Helena's retrofit, followed by the random pick, Admiral Hipper. However, the next one on the list is the two sister monitors from the Royal Navy, Erebus and Terror, so look forward to their videos soon. As usual, if there's a character that you don't see on the list that I haven't covered, feel free to let me know in the comments below. Now, whether you're a regular viewer or a patron supporting the channel on Patreon, thanks for watching and I will see you guys all again real soon.